Today I'd like to talk about a very important topic, and we're going to call this 6 types of people in the Black conscious community. Now, a lot of us don't like the phrase Black conscious community for some very valid reasons, but it's for lack of a better term. We're talking about those people who are Black, who are advocating for, let's say, Black power, who are advocating for Black education, who are advocating for Black uplift, empowerment, Black nationhood, Black nation building, tend to have maybe a more militant or radical approach, tend not to be integrationist types, tend to understand the importance of self-defense when necessary, and these type of things. So for lack of a better term, I'm calling this entire group of people the Black conscious community, right? So we're identifying 6 types of people. These are general classifications. It will be imperfect. You will always think of another type that maybe I didn't mention, and that is fine, but this is for a general overview. And I can almost guarantee you that anyone watching this is going to look in their organization, look in their community, look in their alliance or coalition, and you're going to see some of the people I'm about to describe. So let's get started. Number 1 is the soldiers. Now that's not soldiers in the military sense. That's soldiers spelled S-O-U-L capital J A-H-S. Soldiers. The soldiers are the people in the Black conscious community that for the most part are well read and studied, or they're always studying and getting new information to make sure that they have an accurate analysis, an accurate understanding of where our people are versus where we should be, and practical ways for us to get there. These people are committed. These people are not in it for the sprint or the short haul. They're in it for the long haul. And so you will see these people have some type of track record or background. Regardless of how soon they entered this conscious community, you'll see they're a part of important projects. They have helped start important initiatives in the community. They're involved in the action. They're on the ground level in the trenches. Any number of things that are relevant and important to our people. They are imperfect. They're not gods. They're not to be worshipped. They're not to be thought of as being perfect. But when you want some direction, when you need something done, when you want to know more about something, these are the people you will go to. They are your go-to people. Number 2. In the Black conscious community, a general type, a persona, an archetype, are the clique masters and the cult leaders. Now, in sociology, we know that a clique is considered part of our normal everyday society. But cliques can be very problematic. A clique is a small group or association of individuals who are like-minded and who are very isolationist. So in other words, in a clique, the people may be very conscious. They may know what's going on. They may even be involved in things going on. They may have started organizations, initiatives, programs. They know their history. They know who our enemy is. The problem with clique masters is that clique masters only really rock with people in their clique. They don't take anyone too seriously unless the person is in their clique. They're very isolationist. They tend to stick amongst themselves, and they also have a strong influence on other people in the clique. So that is to say, if somebody in that clique says, hey, sister so-and-so is doing these wonderful workshops, or she's starting a school, or she got a fundraiser for whatever, clique type people, if that person is not in the clique, they won't go support them. They don't even want to hear what they have to say. they immediately say, oh, well, they're not down with us. So what they're offering really can't be of that much value. So you can see how clique masters can be very debilitating to a movement and to a community of people that are searching for empowerment. In this struggle, we must be flexible enough to see beauty and truth and value in other black people, even if they're not part of our little clique, right? So clique masters can be very detrimental to organizations and to forward movement. Now, if we're not careful, the more charismatic, maybe the more informed, the better speaking members of the clique master type can become cult leaders. Now, the problem with a cult is that, similar to a clique, but much more intensified and concentrated, is that in a cult, only the cult leader's word is taken as truth. Only the leader of the cult is given praise and appreciation. If anyone speaks against or is critical of the leader of a cult, all of the cult members will attack anyone who has been critical of their cult leader, because the cult leader is seen as being all-knowing, all-powerful. Also, cult leaders, because they have this uncritical power, nobody can criticize them, nobody can challenge them, nobody can say that's not true, nobody can say I disagree. If somebody does that, they are attacked, physically, and certainly they're ostracized, they're isolated, they're kept away, right? These people tend to become people who are predatory. So they tend to come up with fraudulent ways to get people's money, separate people from their money, separate people from their family members, separate people from their circle of friends. Very narrow, very sectarian, very narrow. Those are the clique masters and the cult leaders. These type of people are problematic for the community because they are so narrow in their thinking. They don't listen to other people. They won't read books from other people. Only the literature, only the ideas that the clique or the cult leader sanctions as being okay. That's not good. We need all types of information from all types of sources, right? So that we can have a comprehensive plan of attack, so that we have a wide and a deep pool of resources and information we need. Third group in the black conscious community, the cynics. I like to call them the devil's advocates or the contrarians too. But the cynics are people who assume the worst of everything and everyone. They assume something is not going to work. They assume that every program, initiative, organizational movement is really corrupt. People are all frauds. They're not serious, and they're trying to dupe the people and defraud the people. These are the cynics. Now, with the cynics, you'll note they usually don't have any independent program. They usually don't come with a real analysis. Most of their analysis is built on opposing your analysis. Oh, that's not going to work. They'll give you a million reasons why something won't work. They don't even fully understand the idea. They're already not, oh no, that's not going to work. They'll give you a million reasons. They can't give you an independent idea of something that will work. They usually have no program. They go around critiquing very negatively and trying to sabotage and find fault with the people in the community that are really trying their best to provide good service to our community. Those are the cynics, right? Now, cynics can come in handy because cynics, because they're so busy trying to find everything wrong with what you're saying and what you're doing, some of the things that they come up with will be valid. So you can actually, the cynics you can use by getting information, critiques of yourself, of your organization, of your initiative or program that are actually valid, and it will help you make you better as a person, your organization better, and your program better. So cynics, though negative in orientation, can be used to help our people, that is. Number 4, the Grandstanders. The Grandstanders, or we could also call them the drum majors. The drum major is the person that leads the marching band. They're in the front with the high kicks, the big hat. They got the whistle. Grandstanders in the black conscious community. These are the people, I don't know, maybe they didn't get enough hugs or kisses when they were little. I don't know, but they suffer from deep insecurities. And so they have an obsessive need to be seen and to be heard, to be praised, to be acknowledged. These are the people who are constantly telling you who they know, where they've been, what they did, what some important person said about them that was positive. They're constantly trying to impose or impress upon you that they are the man, they're the woman. I read it all, I done it all, I seen it all, I know it all. Those type of people. Now the problem with grandstanders, of course, is that they're arrogant. They're arrogant and they're self-absorbed. So when you presenting an issue, a conflict that needs resolution to a grandstand type person, they're not thinking, their mind is not thinking about, okay, how can we solve this problem? Their mind is thinking about, how can I get credit for this? How can I show people that I'm the best qualified for this? How can I use this to tie into a story all the important people I know and important things they did? So their mind is constantly on themselves. You couldn't pry them off of themselves. So they are very problematic when you're trying to build movement or get things done, because they can't take their mind or perspective off of themselves. They're constantly coming from their own very narrow point of view of, how can I get credit or recognition for this? And so they're always, no matter what you're talking about, you could be talking about, okay, how are we going to do a Dr. King celebration this year? How are we going to frame, what are the different components it needs? They're not thinking about how to answer that question. They don't care about the Dr. King celebration. They're going to say something, oh yeah, Dr. King, I met his wife back in so-and-so and so-and-so, and yeah, we went to dinner. And they're going into their personal association, right? It has nothing to do with the question, which is, how are we going to have this Dr. King celebration? But the grandstanding type of person in the black conscious community, this is what they do. You have to constantly stroke their ego. You have to constantly say, we see you, we recognize you, yes, we understand you did great things. We understand you met a lot of people. You have a lot of knowledge. You were there when this important event happened. Yes, we know. Now the problem with this is that takes a lot of energy, people. That's very draining to have to tell somebody, to spend all your energy constantly stroking somebody's ego, constantly saying, yeah, we acknowledge you, we see you. That energy needs to go into what? The organization, the people's survival programs we're doing, the educational initiatives. We don't have time to keep patting people on the back and stroking their egos. So unless you have infinite energy to do that, these type of people will be problematic. But just know, as soon as they don't get credit for something, as soon as they don't get to brag about who they met or what they've done, you're not going to get a lot of traction from them, because they're in this only to let the whole world know that I'm the man. They want to pop that collar, see? Then we have the cheerleaders. The cheerleaders in the black conscious community are those, and I don't want you to be sexist. This is not one particular gender. A cheerleader could be male or female. A cheerleader is the type of person that's very impressionable, right? They're easily led. So if there's a guy speaking and he has a certain physique and his beard is a certain way, or his hairstyle is a certain way, his clothing is right, they like how he speaks, they're with him. Yeah, that's right. I like him. That's what they're thinking. Or the brother, same thing. And then another person comes up, speaks right after that person, says things that are totally opposite to what that person just said. But the cheerleaders still, that's right, they cheering for them too. So you're wondering, wait a minute, how could they possibly be in agreement with what that person said and yet be so much in agreement with what this person said, and they are diametrically opposed from each other? It's because the cheerleader is not critical. They're not analytical. They don't look at things, assess them, measure them. They don't think about, is this true? Did they support what they said? Have I found in my lived experience or in my study that what they said is true and relevant? They're just, it's almost like a talk show. You know, they just, almost whatever's said, they gonna clap. Right? Whatever's said. And they are useful because when you need people with high energy, high passion level to help get the people amped, the cheerleaders are there for you. They'll do that. The problem is the cheerleader is not critical and analytical, so they will often support enthusiastically things and people that they should not. They will often become cult followers. These are people that often be joining cults and telling people, giving all their money to people, giving all their time and energy to people who mean them no good, to organizations who mean them no good. Because the cheerleader hasn't developed the ability to discern, to be critical and analytical. So that's another type of person in the black conscious community. Now, you will notice these people, the most obvious way is that they're the ones that are always, they'll be clapping, they'll be yelling back, that's right, ashe, whatever they say. Now keep in mind, all of us that are going to meetings and that are in support of initiatives, you'll find all of us clapping, but when we clap, we're clapping because someone said something that we fundamentally agree with. When we say teach, that's right, ashe, what we're bearing witness to is that this speaker said something that we find relevant, important, and that we agree with. But the cheerleading persona, the cheerleader type of person in the black conscious community will do that with almost anybody that comes up. Almost anybody. If they look a certain way, if they look strong, if they're pretty, they'll clap. They're not thinking, is what this person said something I really agree with? Okay, so that's your cheerleading type. The sophomores. The sophomores. Now, sophomore literally means wise fool. They use this to denote the second year in high school or college, and they do that for a reason. Because the presumption is this person went through their freshman year, they got their feet wet, they learned a little something, something. Now they're in their second year. Now you can't tell them nothing. Now they think they got it all figured out because they did 1 year. Not realizing you still got at least 2 more to go. So wise fool means that a sophomore is the type, they have the potential to be a soldier. The first category we talked about. They got all the potential in the world, but they're just not ready yet. And they have a little bit of arrogance. So instead of them saying, okay, I read some books, I've been involved in some things, there's more I need to learn before I go out here and take this sort of public leadership position where I'm telling other people, advising other people. I haven't learned enough yet to be advising other people. So the sophomore is that type in our community. They're the type that, man, if they stay on the track, they keep studying, they keep being involved, prove that they're a good follower first. See, people want to jump to be a leader, but they haven't demonstrated they're a good follower first. You understand? I've been in organizations where I went to every meeting, raised my hand, asked questions. When they needed somebody to volunteer, I was there helping, way before I even thought about leading the organization. You got to be a good follower first before you become a good leader. Some people want to skip that step and just be the good leader. And that's because some sophomores are part of another group I talked about earlier, which is the Grandstanders. They want to be able to say, I have a title, I'm in leadership, people look to me for whatever. They like to come in their meeting, they feel good, I'm getting ready to speak, people are here to see me. But the sophomore has to remember, greatness starts with discipline, work, consistency, focus. There are lessons one must learn before they assume certain positions. If you skip that period of study and practice and rehearsal and critique and mentorship, or you have a Jenga, an elder that's trying to school you, if you skip that and you jump into now you trying to be the leader, womp womp, doesn't work. And what's worse is it compromises the integrity and the effectiveness of our organizations and our initiatives and our programs, right? Leadership at its best level takes some degree of seasoning. This is not to be elitist. This is not saying you need to have a degree, you need to have been in the struggle for 50 years. It's not saying that. I'm not putting time limits. But we know when we're ready. When someone asks us a question, a basic question that we should know, and we're stumbling around, we said, you're not ready. Right? You're not ready. You can't be the editor-in-chief of a newsletter and you never wrote articles before. You can't just skip. So the sophomore group can be very, very, very debilitating. And so we got to teach our people there's nothing wrong with coming into an organization and just coming in, going to the meetings, raising questions, answering questions, volunteering help, offering to be on a committee. That's how you learn. And you learn from making mistakes, quite honestly. And as you make those mistakes, you look back and say, I'll do that differently. All of these things are how you learn. Be well read. Know what you're talking about. Nobody is ever going to be perfect. But to be a soldier, which to me is the highest level of this group of people I named, that's what you're going to have to do.